Yo, what's going on, guys? Kotamush back at it with a $650 gaming PC build. I know I haven't done a PC build in a little while. You guys have been requesting me for a little bit now to do more PC builds. Here is a $650 build, and let's get right into this with the CPU of the build. For the CPU, I went with the Intel Core i5-4460 3.2GHz quad-core processor. Now, for the price, in my opinion, the i5-4460 is one of the best CPUs on the market right now. The CPU goes for around $165, and that's a great price considering this is a quad-core CPU, and it is clocked at 3.2GHz. While it's not a K-series processor, meaning you can't overclock it, at 3.2GHz, it's still going to provide a lot of performance. And the fact that it's an Intel quad-core is going to give you a lot of performance in higher-end games like Star Wars Battlefront, The Witcher 3, and a lot of games these days do take advantage of having 4 cores over 2. And the fact that it's an i5, just for $165, you really can't do much better than the i5-4460. Yeah, the 4690K is out there, but that CPU, while it is overclockable, is like $230, and that really just isn't feasible in a budget-end build like this. You're saving like $65, and you're still getting a CPU that's going to provide a lot of great performance. And for the i5-4460, since you won't be overclocking, you can just stick with the stock cooler. That's going to get the job done just fine. Moving on to the motherboard, I went with the ASRock H97 Pro 4 ATX LG1150 motherboard. No reason to get a Z97 board since, like I said, the i5 that we picked isn't overclockable anyway. This board is obviously on the H97 chipset. It's on the LG1150 socket. It's got 4 RAM slots up to DDR3 1600MHz and up to 32GB of max memory. It's got RAID support, 6 SATA 6GB/s ports, and onboard USB 3 headers. And the motherboard goes for only around $85, so that's a great price for the ASRock H97 board. It's going to provide all the features you want and some additional features as well, and it's not going to break the bank at all at a very cheap price of $85. For RAM, I went with G.Skill RipjawsX Series 8GB, 2 4GB sticks running at DDR3 1600MHz. is the same RAM that I featured in my last top 5 PC deals of the week, and this RAM is going for only $39 right now, which is a ridiculously good deal for 8 gigs of RAM. And 8 GB of RAM is a great amount. I know a lot of people are scared that Star Wars Battlefront is recommending 16 GB of RAM. Let me just tell you guys from personal experience, I have 8 GB of RAM in my machine. I'm running that game at 1080p and 1440p with a GTX 970, no problem. So don't be scared into thinking you need to get 16 GB for Star Wars Battlefront. You do not. 8 GB is going to do the job just fine, and at this kind of a price for $39, it's a great deal. But like I said, the motherboard does have 4 RAM slots, so if you do want to go for a 16 GB configuration in the future, all you'll have to do is pick up another kit of this RAM and you'll be good to go. But for now, in a budget end build, 8 GB of RAM for this cheap is just a steal. For storage, I went with the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB hard drive for $52. It's a 1TB Caviar Blue, not much more to say here. I didn't go with an SSD in this build because it is a budget end build at $650, and to get an SSD instead of a hard drive, you could pick up like a 120GB SSD, but for gaming PCs, for gamers out there, I think you guys want to download a lot of games, and 120GB is definitely not going to be enough, so the Caviar Blue 1TB I thought was a better all-around option, but I'll let you guys make that decision. If you guys think that you'll be fine with 120GB, by all means, go with an SSD, but I think the majority of you will prefer the Caviar Blue. And for $50, it's just a great deal, and it's going to provide you a decent amount of storage to just store all your games, movies, pictures, music, all that kind of stuff is going to fit perfectly on the Caviar Blue. And for a mechanical drive, it does have decent speeds as well. I have a Caviar Blue in my build, and before I got my SSD, I was using it as my boot drive for a while, and it performed really well for a mechanical drive. Moving on to the video card, I went with the XFX Radeon R9 280X 3GB double dissipation video card. Now this GPU is $215. There's also a mail-in rebate attached to it for $30, so if you guys decide to use that, you can get this GPU for $185. Regardless on whether or not you use the mail-in rebate, this is a really good video card for the price. You also get a free copy of Dirt Rally, which I know is a game that a lot of you guys aren't excited about, but hey, it's a free game, might as well take it. And the R9 280X is a great GPU, and one of the things I really like about it is the fact that it has 3GB of video buffer. 2GB just isn't enough for a lot of games, and a lot of the 4GB graphics cards tend to get on the pricier side at $240, $250. So the R9 280X fits that happy medium. It has 3GB of VRAM and provides great performance. On a game like Star Wars Battlefront, you're going to be playing that game maxed out and still getting 50 to 55 frames per second. On a game like The Witcher 3, you can play that at high settings and get 45 to 50 frames per second. So you're just going to be doing a lot of great 1080p gaming. Obviously, for some games, you will have to turn down the settings slightly, but regardless, the R9 280X is going to give you a great 1080p gaming experience. And for the price, if you decide to use the mail-in rebate, it's even better at $185. $225 and the free copy of Dirt Rally. But even at the $215 price tag, it's still fairly decent, and I highly recommend the GPU. For the power supply, I went with the XFX 550 watt 80 plus Bronze Certified power supply. 550 watts is going to be fine for this build. The i5 4460 is super power efficient, and the R9 280X isn't going to cause you to use more than 500 watts. And obviously in a budget like this, you're not going to be going for a crossfire configuration, so getting something like a 750 watt power supply would just be a waste of money. XFX has a really good track record with all their power supplies, so this power supply in the build was just an all-around good fit for $50. Finally, for the case, I went with the NZXT S340 Black ATX mid-tire case. This case comes in black or white, so just pick the color of your preference. I personally think the black one goes better in this build, and I've recommended the NZXT S340 so many times. It's just one of the best budget end cases for under $70. Aesthetically, it looks fantastic. It's got the side window, it's got a lot of room for upgradability, it's got good ventilation, so it's going to keep all your parts cool, and all around it's just a fantastic case for the price. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and if you have a request for a future video, leave it in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, have a great day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.